Welcome to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, where we uncover the powerful truth about your beginnings and how they've shaped your entire life. I'm Shannon O'Flaherty, and in this show, we are not just exploring your birth, we are dismantling the chains of generational trauma. We're diving into the core of who you are, peeling back layers of inherited beliefs and behaviors that have held you back for far too long. This isn't just about understanding your past. It is about reclaiming your future. Get ready to break free. This is Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, and your transformation starts now. Hi, welcome to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance. I'm Shannon O'Flaherty, and I'm so happy to have you here today. Why do so many women feel stressed, unworthy, or not enough when it comes to money, no matter how hard they work? In this powerful episode of this show, Beyond Birth Trauma, I am joined once again by the remarkable Dr. Helen Orombi, whose journey from Ugandan village life to earning 3 master's degrees and a doctorate reveals the hidden truth about money, identity, and internalized self-worth. We're going to discuss why so many women feel stressed, unworthy, or not enough when it comes to money. If you have ever undercharged, overgiven, or second-guessed your brilliance, struggled with money anxiety regardless of your income, felt alone in the weight of financial stress, or carried inherited stories of not enough, this episode is for you. You're going to walk away with profound insights, somatic tools, and a radically empowering new way to relate to money, worth, and your own inner power. Are you ready to rise above your old money script? I'm so thrilled to welcome Dr. Helen Orombi for the second time on my show, who is a women's empowerment transformational coach and guide specializing in empowering conscious, self-actualizing women, creatives, change makers, and visionaries who are ready to break free from survival-based patterns of fear, unworthiness, self-doubt, and step into their highest potential. Through her work, she helps women release conditioned limitations, and her mission is to empower women to liberate themselves from invisible barriers, conditioned limitations, survival-based patterns, and self-doubt, so they can step boldly into their highest potential, create aligned, purpose-driven lives, and manifest with ease and confidence. With expertise in positive psychology, EFT tapping, and chakra intuition, Helen skillfully supports her clients in releasing emotional and energetic blocks, including money blocks, to create flow and abundance in their lives. Helen holds a doctorate in marriage and family therapy and brings over a decade of experience as a psychotherapist to her coaching work. She is trained in the transformational, women-centered coaching methodology of Dr. Claire Zammit, making her uniquely equipped to guide women through profound transformation. Outside of coaching, Helen loves crocheting, reading, hiking, and engaging in deep conversations about spirituality, purpose, and self-mastery. Helen, yay, Helen, welcome back. Helen was also my very first guest when I started interviewing people myself, and I thought it would be appropriate to have her be my last guest of this year. Welcome so much.
Thank you, Shannon. Wow, that was a very beautiful introduction, and it's such an honor to come and end the year with you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, I'm really, really thrilled. And Helen and I had the great pleasure of actually meeting each other in person this year because we knew each other
Yes.
on Zoom, just a little square, for a couple of years. And then she only lives an hour from my sister when I was in the States in September. So that was really awesome. It was like, there you are after thousands of years. So
Yeah,
really
there you
great.
are. Yeah, and you're exactly what I imagined.
So this core theme about money stress is not primarily a mindset or a strategy issue. It's shaped by early money paradigms, cultural conditioning, and nervous system imprinting. And we're going to talk all about that on this episode. But before we get there,
Uh-huh.
Helen, how
Yeah.
did you get to this perfect place now and start at your birth with your earliest money paradigm as well?
Okay. All right. So I was born and raised in Uganda. And so just start talking about money, right? I'm currently visiting with my brother in Ohio, and we were talking about what were our memories about money growing up. And what we both discovered was all of our basic needs were already met, but we didn't really have access to money. We didn't manage money at all. And so, yeah. And so I didn't really have a whole lot of interaction with money because everything was met. I mean, going to boarding school, so I went to boarding school. Um, Whenever I needed money, my dad would give me money to buy the basic things that I needed. That was about it. So
You
we didn't
didn't
have
have an allowance?
No, we didn't have an
Okay.
allowance. So I mean, like you got enough money to buy the basics, right? To buy your books and all of that. But that was it. And maybe you got a little bit of money to manage your time at school, but no extras. And I didn't really feel deprived as a result of not having that because all of your needs were met.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, how did that play out in your childhood, in your family relationships with your parents? Because a lot of kids see their parents struggling over the bills or cursing over it and all of that stuff, when dad's like cursing or burning the bills or
Yeah.
whatever.
No, I never had this feeling that I don't have. I never had that. I mean, I never felt overwhelmed about money at all. And so you knew that if you needed something, it will be provided for. So I have this one story. I remember we're going off to boarding school and money was tight. That's the first time I ever had this experience that money was tight.
How did
So,
you know? Somebody
second.
told you? How did you know that money was tight?
Well, it was time to get allowance, like a little bit of pocket money to buy the things that I needed. You need lotion for your face, you need lotion for your hair, and you need lotion for this and that. And my dad was like, Helen, I don't really have enough for you to buy all the nitty-gritties that you needed. And that was my first time ever to have that experience that, oh, sometimes parents don't have money. But that was it. Other than that, all my needs were taken care of. I had everything that I needed.
But so now I know that you experienced a war there during your childhood. So how did that play out during that time?
Well, as we were talking about when we we're getting ready, the experience was in community. And so even though it was a really tough experience, I had my family with me. And so again, I didn't have the sense of I don't have enough. I didn't have that growing up at all.
Wow, I suppose, I mean, it's a really interesting way to look because we, in the West, women, men, everybody, we separate money as a separate entity. But really, if you do look at money as just energy, which is what we're talking about today, and you're looking at, you always had community around you, that's a really interesting concept to look at money even as community, because if you have community and a support network around you, you are without that I don't have kind of thing going on. And so many people here don't grow up with that.
Right. And of course, we didn't have television, so there was no advertising. And everybody in the community we all about had the same amount of money. So it wasn't like you were looking at somebody else who had more money than you. You weren't looking at stuff on TV and having that feeling like, I need to have that. No. So you were pretty much content with what you had because there was no advertising telling you you need to buy this and this and that.
What do you mean everybody in the community had the same amount of money?
It, so comparatively, I
Yeah.
grew up in it's like Uganda, the average annual income is about maybe $1,800 a year. And pretty
Wow.
much everybody in the neighborhood, that was it. And so you didn't feel like you didn't have enough. Everybody in the community was just about as poor. And I'm putting poor in quotation because
Didn't
we
feel
didn't feel
poor.
poor at all. Yeah,
I really noticed that with Peruvian kids who had nothing, literally nothing, and the families who had nothing, and they'd welcome you in, and they'd go and hunt for a fish and cook you fish or get potatoes out that had been frozen for however many years, and they were always providing for anybody really happy to have guests. As a treat, they'd send their kid out to buy a big bottle of Coca-Cola, which I thought was really kind of funny. But they never seemed poor because these kids were running around playing outside, making the best with what they did have, and I guess they didn't have too much to compare it to.
right. And you made your own toys. I mean, like you made your own balls, you made whatever you needed, you made it. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, when I think about it, there was never a sense that I didn't have.
And that making things, even your own toys, as my parents, when we were little at Christmas time, they said, you have to make your own presents. Like, oh, okay. And it makes you get very resourceful. And it's not just about making a toy or making a present. Okay, it might seem like that's what it is at the time, but actually, when you're as a child, given that concept of it's better if it comes from your heart, if you make it, it creates a resourcefulness in you. I still feel like, oh gosh, I haven't made very many presents this year, because of work
Oh,
and all the rest of it.
right. But we didn't get presents for Christmas.
Okay.
We didn't get presents for Christmas. You maybe got a new outfit. Didn't get that. Did you? I'm sorry.
Oops.
Yeah, I know.
AI has something to say about that, Helen.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, you maybe got a new outfit. And then Christmas was about, again, spending time with family. And so you
Oh,
had people over and you had a nice meal, but no amount of, you didn't get presents at all.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very
Really
different.
beautiful. I know Christmas is a big thing, and a lot of people are very, very anti the whole materialistic aspect of it. And I'm Christmas crazy. So it's like I think the joy is in the giving, right? I love to receive also, but for me, I love to give gifts. So it's not just aimless, thoughtless gifts, obviously. It's things that I think people would really like, but very interesting.
Yeah.
So, what about your sort of family and gender roles growing up with that kind of philosophy?
Yeah. So my dad was the main breadwinner, and my mom supplemented the income by, there were times she raised chickens, so we sold eggs. Sometimes we made bread, sometimes we made milk, but her income wasn't considered like the main source. It was just additional income. And so
Hmm.
unconsciously, I think I downloaded this belief that men are the providers and women are the caretakers.
I
And
did.
yeah, so that's what I unconsciously downloaded from having been raised in Uganda in that particular condition. Yeah,
Hmm. You
yeah,
mentioned something before about your mother's contributions not framed as business but as support, and like that's really important difference to look at in terms of how our belief systems land in us,
yeah,
because if cult and culturally, so in your community, right, everybody's there helping everybody. If you're looking at um, additional income or services or whatever, not as like money, need it for business, need it for survival, but just as like extra support, that has a whole different energy around it than needing to provide, right?
yeah. And I like that you brought that up because of having that energy of money, my mom's money being supplemental. Even when I came to the US and I was making my own money, I still saw money, the money that I made, as supplemental. That's kind of like that's how I downloaded it, which meant I capped how much I made because my money is supplemental. But I'm the main
Oh,
breadwinner.
oh, wow. Okay, so that's very fascinating.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
For any of you who grew up like I'm a baby boomer in the States, right? So daddy went to work every day and my mom was working too, but she was working from home, right? And my mom paid for our trips and all sorts of things she paid for. But daddy went to work and he made the money and he came home from work at the end of the day. And my mom was the caretaker, very much so. And most of my life I've given up my power to men and wanted to manifest. My friends are like, "What are you, like a 1950s housewife? You're so independent, but you just want the men to take care of you." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I know, because that's what I modeled and that's what I saw." And that can also be very disempowering in this day and age as an independent woman in business.
Right, because it caps how much you allow yourself to make because your money is supplemental. And so you give yourself an unconscious ceiling and you don't allow yourself to make beyond what's considered supplemental. And I had to do a lot of inner work to
Yeah.
allow myself to make more than just supplemental income.
Well, I do know that that's a very common limiting belief for a lot of people is that you don't feel that you're allowed to supersede what your parents have earned. You're not allowed to be more successful than your dad. You're not allowed to earn more money. You're not allowed to because your parents, right? They're the on the pedestal,
Yeah.
and you're all thinking, yeah, they're not, but yeah, subconsciously yeah,
Yeah.
it's a survival thing. So that's really that's fascinating.
Right.
And so your early then relationship with money, what happened then? Because you moved to the States.
Yeah.
When did you move to the States?
So I moved to the States when I was 26, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am. So I moved to the States when I was 26. And before that, I'd never had a bank account. I'd never really managed money. And so when I got here, I had to figure out how to open up a bank account, how to manage money, how to make money. When I got here, I found out that I didn't have housing, I didn't have tuition, and I had to figure all of that out at 26. Most
Wow.
people figure it out when they're a little younger, but I figured it out at 26.
I think I had my first savings account when I
Mhm.
was like 11 or 12, with parental consent. But yeah, they took me to the bank. It was all an official thing. I felt really grown up. I got my social security card. Mom was like, practice your signature because this is going to be your formal signature. I was writing my name all over everything, right? It's changed somewhat over the years, but and so I mean that would have been completely and utterly overwhelming for a lot of people. I mean, hard
Yeah.
enough for a new young person starting out, especially if they haven't had great role models where that's concerned. And a lot of people, never mind coming from a totally other culture and country. You were speaking English?
Yeah, yeah. Uganda is a British colony.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
should know that. I'm really great with my history,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I could speak the language, but again, I was limited by my immigration status. So I could only do very menial jobs like babysitting and cleaning houses. And that's kind of how I started.
You already had a degree?
Not yet. That's when I first arrived.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
yeah, yeah, I did. I did. Sorry. You mean my
at
undergrad?
26.
Yeah. I had my undergrad. I didn't have my second degree, my master's. I hadn't gotten my second degree yet.
So I would be really annoyed, really pissed off if I could only get cleaning jobs or babysitting when I had an undergrad degree. And I mean, I know also a lot of young people are facing this now because of the world and the chaos that we're in, that you can't even use your degree because there just aren't enough jobs available. But
Mhm.
so, well, what did you do? How did you first start earning money?
I mean, you had to figure it out. So, I mean, the school that I went to had this newsletter. I went on the newsletter and I found some babysitting gigs, and that's what I started doing. Um, just babysitting and saving whatever money that I had to pay for my tuition. And ex having that experience really did a number on my self-worth because here I am, I have a degree, and there's nothing wrong with that kind of work, but I think I had a different expectation, and so all I was limited to was doing that kind of work, and yeah, it affected my self-worth just a little bit.
Is that where the crochet business came into being?
No, the crochet business was much later. That was in my 40s. But I always crocheted. Like I always crocheted, but turning it into a business, I did that in my 40s.
Mhm.
Then I was so focused on just surviving, and I would do just whatever I could to survive. Because when you're crocheting, that takes creativity. You need to be a little bit regulated to be creative. So, yeah.
Mhm. And so, what about your religious upbringing?
So, I grew up Christian, and the messaging I felt like I got was God will provide. And in my mind, there was this passivity that I was waiting for God to provide. It never computed that God would provide by me doing some of the work. So it was always God was going to provide. And so I had this mindset that, yeah, I would just wait and God would provide. Yes, there were times when God did provide that way, but it never computed in my head that I'm the one who is supposed to be making the money.
And I see you have Jesus as your archangel on your shoulder there today.
Yes, I wondered when you'd bring that up. Yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, I think Jesus was a dude really way ahead of his time, actually. I know that he didn't want people to worship him. He wanted people to learn the skills for themselves so that they could take care of themselves and help others. So, but that was all skewed out of proportion.
yeah. Well, also
And
think about it. You're a kid, so you download what makes sense to you.
well, yeah, I mean, if they're telling you all the time that God will provide, you think God's going to come knocking on your door with a basket of bread, right? And like, well, where is he? Right? He also, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Let's not do that one.
yeah, no, okay, that's another show.
Yeah,
Okay. So, how did that experience of doubting your self-worth because of the whole money thing coming to America
Mhm.
manifest besides all of the degrees that you had?
Well, because so coming here, I became one of the have-nots. I'm black and I'm a woman. And so I found myself in a category. And the category unconsciously for me was the have-nots. And at work, the way it manifested was I ended up under earning. I ended up undercharging. I ended up overgiving. In a way, unconsciously trying to prove my worth. That's how
Hmm.
it manifested for me. And I notice like that's how it manifests for other women too. The sense of deserving, right? Because you have to feel like you deserve the wealth that you make. And if you don't feel like you deserve it, you're gonna try to earn it by working extra hard, right?
Hmm.
Isn't that, wasn't that one of your experiences?
Well, yes. I
Go
mean,
ahead.
I fall into all of these categories, and I wasn't raised in Uganda, so I was a like privileged little white girl in America, right, with a very successful father. So it doesn't really matter
Yeah,
where you've come from, how you can pick up the exact same kind of beliefs from a different root um, kind of area,
right.
and so. It's also interesting to me, Helen, that from having community around you, even in war, and still somehow feeling secure with your community, people always had your back, then you alone moved to America. So suddenly, like, where's all your people? Where's your community? Where's your safety net?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, remember, I was talking to you about that a couple of weeks ago. I was doing some of my inner work, and part of the inner work that I do is going back to the 26-year-old to quote unquote unburden her. And I was having a conversation. No, I'm not schizophrenic or anything, but it's called internal family systems, and we all have parts. So I was talking to that version of me, and I was like, what was it like for you? And one of the things she was saying is like, it was incredibly alone. It's not like I was afraid of hard work, but this sense that nobody had my back, that it was all on me. That is what made it really, really hard. Yeah.
We can all feel that sort of sense of aloneness. So
Yeah.
another example of that for people if they're trying to please their parents. So they're going off to law school or going off to be a doctor when really they want to be a dancer or an actor. But like, no, no, you've got to do this. So you're pleasing the parents. So you're feeling alone because your soul is wanting to be an artist or a musician or something and nobody has your back for that. Nobody's supporting what your passion is. They're not really truly seeing you. So you might feel alone because you're not being held in the way that your little person inside you wants to be held.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
creates that sense of isolation, even if you're surrounded by people. And of
Right.
course, isolation creates internalized stress
And
and
overwhelmed.
overwhelm. And this is passed down generationally also because our ancestors, I mean, they were alone, right? They were the pioneers. They're the ones who were figuring it all out for the rest of us, right?
Yeah. And also we have this, like to the example that you're giving, right? We have this innate desire to belong. And so for somebody who wants to be, say, a creative, you're going to forego that because you want to be part of a community. You want to belong to your family. You want your family to approve of you. Which reminds me of like early on, we were talking about my mom's supplemental income and how you were talking about how you don't want to surpass your family. Well, it's called the vow of loyalty. With a vow of loyalty, you're not going to want to make more than your parents,
Right.
right? And if you do, you're going to unconsciously try to get rid of it because you don't want to surpass your parents. Doesn't matter how old you are, you don't want to surpass them.
It's just it's
You're
so
fascinating.
fascinating. I mean, this is why it's really interesting, not that I'm wishing anybody dead, but when people's parents die, they often are like, right, done with that law thing. I'm going to go be the artist I wanted to be, or now I can go be the creative dancer or whatever. Like huge shifts, and people think, oh my God, they're having a nervous breakdown, they're grieving. But actually, it's like, well, I don't have to please my parents anymore. My truth is coming out. So, so with your clients, what do you notice with them in terms of their lack of worth and stress about money?
Mm. I'm thinking of a client who she mm, I'm I didn't get her permission to share this, so I'm kind of
It's
feeling
anonymous. It's anonymous. Nobody knows who you're talking about.
yeah.
It's a story. That's shamanic storytelling.
Okay, it's shamanic storytelling. All right. So the way it manifested for her was that she never allowed herself to go beyond $40,000 a year. That
Mm.
and she had been earning $40,000 a year for over maybe 30 years. She would
Wow.
not allow herself to go beyond that. That was her
You
ceiling.
capped it.
She capped it. She
Right.
wouldn't allow herself to go beyond that. And so in the work that we did together, we found that her belief, her core belief that was getting in her way of having money was the main one is like, I'm a have-not, right? I'm a have-not. And her parents made $40,000 a year. Her dad made $40,000 a year. She could not allow herself to go beyond that.
Wow. That's
That's
really
how yeah, that's how it manifested for her.
honestly, if you're raising children, you should tell them that you're all millionaires so that your kids can really succeed, even if you're scraping the barrel. That's a really good white lie to tell your children. Yeah, secretly, we're
Yeah,
millionaires.
we're all millionaires. Yes. Yeah.
And so you told me about their stress response about not having. What happens? Because I loved what you said when we were talking about that before. Do you
Okay.
remember what you said?
Yes, I do. So most people think money is about what the number that you have in your bank account. It isn't, right? How you feel about money is how you want to feel about money is like looking at your grocery list. That's how you want to feel about money, but nobody feels that way about money. When you think about your savings, so right now, think about how much money you have in your savings. Think about how much money you're having. How much money do you have for retirement? When you just think about that, how does it feel in your body? A lot of us, if you're normal, is we're going to get stressed out because money does not live in a bank account. It lives in your body. It's a
Mhm.
mind-body connection. And that's what I love about the work that I do.
It's really interesting because I remember when we were in women-centered
Yep.
coaching together, and you took our little group. We had a group of four.
Yeah.
We're called the Jazz Square,
Yes, there it
and
is.
and you took us all through this process of
Yeah.
looking. Like we had to look at our accounts and like what were in savings, what was our debt, what was this, and how you felt about it. And it was really, really interesting because I hadn't tuned into it at all because it was like, oh, I don't know,
It's just
money.
money.
It's money. But
Yeah.
when I had to compartmentalize it and look at those things, it was another whole thing. And debt, like some people have like, oh yeah, I have this much debt, but then do you have a college loan? Do you owe somebody a whole lot of money? Like there's other debt that's not like right there in your bank account.
Yeah.
And something that really shifted for me this year
Mhm.
was I used to have a whole list of affirmations about all of the things, all positive present tense about what I'm attracting and all of the things. And one day I was reading it and I thought, this is really annoying because every time I read this list of affirmations, and I know some people go, "Oh, affirmations, I don't believe them." Well, it wasn't that I didn't believe it, but it just made me think about everything that I don't have yet. And
Yeah.
I thought, well, that's not the energy I want to be in. I can affirm that I have all of these things. Great. And I thought, no, I'm taking this away. And I thought, how do I want to feel? How
Yeah.
do I want to feel? And I thought, I want to feel like I am the sparkly and effervescent vibration and frequency of abundance every day. And I thought, oh, yeah. Oh, I just got a zing right through me right now. When I said that,
And
it
you're
like,
sparkling.
I am sparkly. It brought me joy. It immediately shifted my vibration because
Yeah.
I'm all about energy. If you all hadn't figured that out by now, and I feel my energy move through my body,
Yeah.
and it lifted me up so much. And I thought, yeah, oh yeah, that's a good one. Let's just be abundant. Let's feel it. Let's be the same vibration as abundance. And so I got rid of the affirmation list and put that where I could see it by the kettle by my thing. And every time I read that, it really, really brings me joy. And then I have another one about being a pure channel for love's
Well,
expansion
love
on
is
earth.
friendship. Yeah.
And I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
that feels really good to me too. That makes me so happy. So that when I'm in my mean girl, I can remember that I also
Oh
have
my
a
God. You
spirit
had to
channel
throw
for
that
love.
in.
If you're all reading my blogs, I wrote a blog about if you have a mean streak. Well, it was Helen was the one who called me out on that. I'm like, okay, fine. I have a mean
You
streak.
have a mean streak. But what I love about you is how you own up. But back to the emotions. So, no, because I want to affirm what you're saying, right? The affirmation that you say, it makes you feel good, which means your vibration is high. But think
Yeah.
about somebody who has debt. Most of the time, people who have a lot of debt, they're going to feel shame. Well, if you feel shame, are you going to want to do something about your money? No. Whereas if you're feeling all sparkly and effervescent, right, your thinking brain, like the creative part of you, is online and you're going to have a lot of creative ideas. So good on you, Shannon.
And it's not just about money though, because abundance, like, I teach that slice of the pie. You've got your life with all your relationships, work, community, friendships, health, fitness, all of that.
Mhm.
Abundance is everything, everything. So when I started to be the sparkly, effervescent vibration and frequency of abundance, everything started to flow better in my life. Like really, almost. immediately overnight. Not like maybe in a huge drastic way, but opportunities came. Maybe some signs from the universe that I might have been missing before showed up in that divine way that they do if you're paying attention, because you open up. When you're feeling shame, you're contracting and
Yes.
you're not receiving. You can't because you're not in alignment. So that was really actually huge. And it did shift me in a big way. So
Right.
let's
Oh,
focus from you more on the stress of lack that gets activated first, and then we'll move on to the self-worth part. Does that sound good for you?
that sounds good. Yeah. So was there a question there?
No, you just talk. Tell us about the. She loved my interview technique. Tell us about the stress of the lack that gets activated. Tell us what you do with that, and
Oh, are you trying to hint at EFT tapping?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, Shannon, don't hint. Just tell me. All right. So the tool that I use that I really, really love is EFT tapping. So just think about it. So say if you have $100 in your bank account and it's really stressing you out, and when you just start tapping, what happens is your nervous system is going to calm down. Because when you're activated, the part of you that's very creative, the part of you that's brilliant, the part of you that's very resourceful is offline. And so you're very myopic, and all you're thinking is, I don't have money, I don't have money, I don't have money. And once you tap, your nervous system calms down, right? The amount of money in your bank account hasn't changed. But once you, and I have a really good story about that because that client that I was telling you about, she she started doing tapping with me. We would tap all the time. And one day she said she woke up in the middle of the night and she had all these ideas of how to make money. Right? Those ideas were always there, but she couldn't access it until she was able to regulate her nervous system. Is that the story you wanted me to tell? Is that
Yeah,
what
right on.
Yeah.
God, you just
Yeah.
really tune right in. And that affects
You
and
get
that
me.
affects everything because
Yeah.
you become detached from the worry and
You,
from the anxiety and from the shame. And
yeah.
then you can finally let go of your story of how it has to be. Because also, if your parents have constantly been saying you have to work hard to earn money,
And
we
money doesn't grow on trees.
oh, money doesn't grow on trees. Oh, I love that one. My dad always said that. And in England, on one of these walks, there's this big log with a million coins shoved into it. And I took a picture of it. I'm like, look, Dad, apparently money does grow on trees in England. But whatever your story, which means what you heard your parents saying all the time. Either you have to work hard for money or effing money. It's so stressful. I hate it. Or money is evil. That's a good one.
Money's not spiritual.
Money's not, oh, you have to be humble to be close to God. That's a really good one. Like money's not evil. It's paper and metal.
Yeah.
What we make money to be is, well, that's not evil either. It's just guilt and fear and shame. It's just awful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like we put meaning on money. And you're right. Money is just because, like, if I had, say, 1,000 shillings, that's not going to mean anything to, say, somebody here, I mean, in the US or in the UK, because it's just paper. And we've decided that this particular piece of paper is how we are going to exchange value,
Mhm.
right? So it's just paper, but we give it so much meaning, we give it so much power, and then it has power over us.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do. We do that. And so part of healing, like anything, is owning it. Like, look at your stuff and go, yeah, yeah, well, yeah, I do this. And don't blame your parents for it because we have so much more opportunity to learn and so much information at our fingertips. They didn't. They did the best with what they had and they learned from their grandparents. So it was hard. Our ancestors had it really, really tough. So lighten up on your parents if you can and just take accountability for yourself and just look at what you've what you've inherited and deal with it instead of spending all your time in resistance and being angry at your parents, because that's not helping you either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I like that you said that.
yeah. So let's talk about the worthiness factor because this can vary dramatically in how it manifests with different people depending on their familial background.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, if you don't feel like you deserve money, you can be a millionaire and you're still, it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't feel deserving of it, it's not going to make you feel safe. It's not going to do anything for you if you don't feel like you deserve it.
That is true. One of the oaths that is in my PDF about changing the seven sacred oaths is the oath of poverty. And I've had millionaire clients with this oath of poverty. And what happens is that they either keep losing all their money and then they have to make it again, or they give all their money away, or they don't enjoy their money. One guy just had his money all in savings. He wasn't circulating it out into the world. He was really tight, this lack consciousness, which is really ugly because what is that about? Like, share, buy yourself presents, like get it out in circulation because it's energy.
Do you
So,
want to talk about the $7 dress? The story.
uh,
You remember the
yeah,
story?
okay. Yeah, okay. Yes, it's a really good story. I love how we call each other out. Are you hinting at that, Helen? Okay.
So you're
So,
talking about worthiness, right? Isn't that a great
yeah, so this is
example?
a good worthy story. So I was in the States shopping with my mother many years ago, little kids, and Christmas shopping because I'm Christmas crazy. And Bobby and I never ever had any money, but there were great sales in the States. At that time, the dollar was really strong. And I'd bought all sorts of stuff for my kids, for Bob. And then there was this dress that was dramatically reduced to like $7. And it was a long t-shirt dress, in case you're wondering, pale pink, almost right. And I couldn't justify it. And it's like I was going to take it back. And my mother, as though I even needed to justify it. She looks at me, she's like, "Are you kidding? I don't believe this." She said, "You have no self-worth." And I looked at her like, what are you talking about?" She's like, "You've been buying things for everybody all day, but you can't buy this $7 dress for yourself." And we went home and she took out a stack of photos because I was very, very good about sending my mother old school photographs on paper with the date and the event on the back, a stack of them about all the things I was doing with my kids. Here's me making bread with my kids, decorating Easter eggs with my kids, throwing a party for them, all of these picture after picture after picture. And I just sat there and cried. And one really stood out because there was me in my kitchen of chaos because we had such a small house and nowhere to put anything. And it said, "After a Valentine's party I just threw for Forrest and 12 of his friends." He was like 3 or 4. Like I really needed to do that. Like they're going to remember that now in their 30s, right?
Yeah.
And Rome was there, my other baby with his hand down my shirt, holding onto my boob. And Forrest was there, had both my kids with little heart stamps all over their face in complete overwhelm and chaos. And I looked at this picture and cried and cried. And mom took it out and she's like, "You frame this and you put this where you can see it every single day because you're an active, hands-on mother and you don't give yourself any credit." And it was a real wake-up call to me. Like, yeah, I am worthy of a $7 dress. I'm
And your
past.
worthiness, right? Right? Like, I mean, like that story. I mean, like most of us feel like we have to earn our worth. So either by productivity, by being a great parent, but your self-worth is inherent. I mean, and I love this quote that Dr. Claire Zammit says, like, your self-worth is inherent. There's nothing you need to do, be, or have to make you any more worthy. You just are. And
Yeah.
unless you know that in your bones, you're not going to allow yourself to receive. Because abundance is there. It doesn't necessarily have to be money. It's available. But if you don't think you deserve it, you're going to close down, or you're not going to be able to see the opportunities that are available to you. So that's
We
like, yeah, go ahead.
It's so important what you just said, Helen. I mean, we are born worthy.
Yeah.
But guess how fast we unlearn that? Because if your mother didn't feel worthy, if your father didn't feel worthy, if your grandparents didn't feel worthy, then you're brought up in this household and the veil is pretty thin. We're shut down really early on in life. And so remember who you are. So what happens with the women in business? How does this manifest?
Again, like undercharging. I remember when one of my coaches was like, Helen, you need to raise your rates. So I did raise my rates. And when I did, my nervous system, see, that's the thing, like my nervous system hadn't expanded its capacity to hold more money. And what I would do is I would overgive. I would try to earn the money that my clients are giving me.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And we play small
Play
to like
small,
fit in to if we're not charging a lot, then we won't play big. We'll play small, right? There's a lot of courses around women kind of stepping
visibility.
into their power.
Yep. Yep.
Um, Visibility, right? Yeah, like a lot. And I mean, even like to me, I think being seen and being heard, that's like healing 101. And there's still a lot of amazing healers that I know that won't come on and tell their story on air because of whatever. And I think like, well, there's something deeper here to look at because I'm sure some of you listening to this now are being triggered. I certainly hope so. That's the whole point of this show.
That's what I
And
think.
you're also going, oh my gosh, that's my story. That's my story. And if you're not brave enough and vulnerable enough to get out there and be seen and be heard and be vulnerable for the world, like the only person judging you is you. Really. That's the only one that matters who's
That
judging you. If
matters.
other people
Yeah.
are judging you, that has nothing to do with you.
They're not
And
your people.
what was that?
They're not your people if they're
They're not
judging you.
they're
Yeah.
not your people. And so what about the women who are not business owners? How do you think that manifests for them?
Well, there was an example that one of my mentors was giving. You're afraid to ask for a raise. If you're working, you're afraid to ask for a raise. Yeah, that's a classic example. I don't want to ask for a raise because I don't feel deserving. I don't feel worthy of it. Yet a guy can go and ask for a raise, and if he doesn't get it, he
Even
doesn't
if you're doing
care.
a job,
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But we take it personally because it is so connected to who we are.
Wow. Yeah, it really is. So, something that you brought up the other day when we were talking were these 11
11.
cultural
Yes.
barriers, which I
Yeah.
found absolutely fascinating because there can be so many different cultures just within your own family or an actual cultural divide depending on where you're raised. I'm seeing this acupuncturist right now,
Mhm.
a Chinese acupuncturist, and he was telling me the different philosophies in the West as opposed to in the East, and that was absolutely fascinating. I mean, he's really very tuned into the Western stuff too, but I thought, wow, what a difference in how we process information. So can you talk about that?
Right. So most of the time we often think that the template that we have about money is just from our family of origin. Yes, it's from your family of origin and it is from your lived experience, but the culture in which you're raised and the way they perceive money also affects what you download. And so I did some research and I came up with these 11 cultural barriers that affect women's narrative when it comes to money. So the first one is money power is not yours. And in the US, it wasn't until 1973 that 74 that women were allowed to have a bank account. And then what that does to a person is you defer your money decision to a man because up until that point, you were not allowed to have a bank account. And in other parts of the world, it's much, much later. So money power is not yours. That's the first one. The second one is women pay a social tax. What that means is if you're ambitious and you're trying to make a lot of money, you're not liked as much. Whereas if it's a guy being ambitious and trying to go after money, that's considered a good thing. And so for a lot of us, we want to be accepted, we want to be liked. And so we downplay our sense of ambition. The third one is the financial confidence gap. For a woman, you have to feel almost 100% confident about your financial literacy. Yet for a guy, it can be about 25%, and he's going to be as confident as we don't curse. So, and then the fourth one is just financial trauma. So these narratives, and the reason why I did that research is I want to be able to normalize where women are with money. Like it's not your fault. Like you downloaded these narratives, but it is your responsibility to become conscious about it and do something about it.
Yeah, I really like that you said that. It's not your fault. It's not your parents' fault either. It's
Do it
just
as you
how it
say.
is. So
Yeah.
get over that and just focus on what needs changing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's not a loss of inner worth,
Yeah.
but you're living inside a different system that questioned what is going on inside of you or inside of your family or with your friends. There's lots of films. There's even a book. I think I was looking for it the other day, and I did see it, but now, of course, I've lost
You
it again.
can't find it.
Something about
Yeah.
the power to be disliked or something like that. Because
Yes, I remember you talked about that.
yeah, and really important because not everybody likes everybody, and that's okay. We don't have to please the whole world. Really good.
Yeah. And
Uh, hmm. Go.
and being okay, not being liked for a woman means I'm not safe.
Okay, you want to elucidate on that?
Well, think about it. If I think for the most part for men, if they're not liked, you're like, oh well. But for a woman, if you're not liked, there's this unconscious fear that you have. If somebody doesn't like me, then that means I'm in danger.
Hmm.
That's what we end up internalizing, right? If I'm not like, because we're talking about visibility, right?
Hmm.
Visibility means taking a risk. People might like you, they might not. They might like you, they might not. Well, that feels dangerous if they don't
Yeah.
like.
Well, yes, because it's that it ties into that isolation. I'm alone. No, I'm not going to be part of the gang. I'm not going to be part of the group. And I mean, I've lived in England for 37 years and I still sound quite American, even though I say British words and the musicality of my voice has changed somewhat. People in the States are sort of like, where are you from? I'm like,
Well, we can place
here.
you.
And they don't know. But people are like, wow, you still have your American accent. Like I'm gonna lose my whole identity. I'm not a little kid coming into a country needing to fit in with my friends to be the odd one out. That doesn't matter. And I consciously chose to keep my sense of self coming here. But this is the same thing that you're talking about. Yeah, so money not being safe. Very interesting. So can you please explain briefly in a nutshell, because we're about 5 minutes left and we still want to do some downloads, how you work with women in your becoming a wealthy woman work?
Yeah. So the first thing I do is expand your nervous system capacity to receive. And so it's all about rewiring your nervous system to uncouple safety with money. Because where I want to get you is when you think about money, you're thinking about it like a grocery list. When you're neutral about money, then it's going to be easy to create it. So we start by just rewiring your nervous system. We see any kind of traumas that you experienced around money. We release all of that trauma out. And once you feel safe around money, then I can help you with some skills, because when you feel unsafe around money, you're not gonna necessarily read all those financial, how to grow your money kind of books. No, because it feels really scary. But once your nervous system feels safe, once you've expanded your capacity, then you can go out and learn some of those financial skills.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and I'm
I
talking
think
from experience.
changing my relationship with money has been the best thing because I used to be stressing about it all the time, even though I was doing all the affirmations and all of that. And now I'm just like, I, do- I very rarely ever worry about money anymore. Whether
Yeah.
I have it, whether I don't have it, I know that it's all going to come through. Um, that's awesome. Can you tell people where they can find you, please?
Yes, I can be found at helenorombi.coachesconsole.com. Again, it's helenorombi.coachesconsole.com. And I have a free guide to if you want to download and learn more. Yes.
Yeah, maybe we can put that on the network as a
Mhm.
free giveaway or something. I'll look into that.
Yeah.
And if you want to find me, you can look at my website, shannonbtb.com. That's my landing page for this show, or shannonoflaherty.com. And I'd love to have a call with you, especially if you want to be a guest on my show. Let's just do two quick downloads, and then we're going to give Helen the last word. So if you want to receive a download, just say yes. And let's show you what it feels like to be deserving and worthy, to feel safe with money. And that you have God's perspective and understanding of money. Okay, we're just going to do those two real quick because we're getting short on time here. Helen and I could talk. We could make this a 3-hour show.
We could. We
So,
could.
Helen, if people were going to take away just one thing from this whole conversation, what would you like them to go away with?
Where you are with money is just where you are, right? Yes, you downloaded things from your parents. Yes, you downloaded things from your culture. It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to become conscious of what your money blocks are and do whatever it takes to release them because your financial future, that's your responsibility.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that you've all tuned in to this episode. I hope that you've really gotten a lot out of it. Please tell everybody again where you can be reached, Helen. So if you want to have a chat with her,
Yeah. Helen Orombi at coachesconsole.com. Helen Orombi at coachesconsole.com.
that's great. And I'm shannonbtb.com or shannonoflaherty.com. And I have a whole bunch of my shop page has just been upgraded, or it will be finished in the next couple of days by my beautiful, very pregnant daughter-in-law. I'm going to be a grandmother. Just have to tell the world that. And so everything should be available there. I have some PDFs about abundance, about breaking ancestral oaths, all sorts of really good stuff like that. Very, very affordable. So like it's a sacred 7 number. So you don't need to break the bank over that, but it's good to invest in yourself because when you invest in yourself, that's already breaking the chain of not feeling worthy. So one of my teachers always said you should buy yourself a present every day, even if it's just a stick of gum, to let the universe know that you're deserving and worthy of having, so that we're out of the have not and into the having. It's
Love it.
been such a joy to have you on my show again, Helen. I love you so much. And everybody out there, I know Christmas can be a challenging time for some of you. Just be in the space that you're in, feel all of your feelings, find something every day, one little grateful piece of sand, just to focus on something that brings you joy, and one tiny little thing to be grateful for. Even if everything around you right now is falling apart, focus on one good thing because it will lift your vibration and pull you more into alignment if you're having a hard time. If you're not having a hard time and you're like Santa Claus's best friend, then really just enjoy this wonderful festive time. Thank you. Thank you, Helen. I love you all so much, and we'll see you next year.
Yeah.
You have been listening to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance with Shannon O'Flaherty on Transformation Talk Radio. On the second Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, we connect the dots between your ancestors, your birth, and the patterns that keep you stuck, guiding you to a place of profound healing and unstoppable brilliance. By examining and healing your cellular imprint from birth of how you perceive and respond to the world and the challenges that are created in your day-to-day life, we can begin to heal and live more balanced and fulfilling lives. For more information, visit shannonbtb.com. That's shannonbtb.com.